All right, Mopar people, welcome back to the channel. I'm just Mopar Joe, and this is
Daniel Powell, Powell Machine Incorporated.
the man, the myth, the legend. So I'm always trying to improve and find out stuff for the Mopar people of the world, and really for anybody. This video is to help everybody out there. And I realized where my knowledge ends, yours will far surpass that. So what I ended up doing, I'm building a 540 for a guy, and I want Daniel to he's hopefully going to grind the cam for that. We talked about it a little bit. But I've sent him an intermediate shaft from Hughes Engines. And the claim of the shaft is, and I'm going to put that up on the screen so they can read the ad. It's out there for everybody to see and know. This is our Hughes Engines oil pump drive shaft with the treated gear, 1045 steel shaft with hardened tip and treated steel gear. $267. It's chemically treated melonite steel gear mounted on their custom-made heat-treated 1045 steel shaft for big block engines. The treated iron gear is a lifetime gear that can be used with any cam, cast, or billet. So that's why that was my first question when I called you. How can they use this on any cam? But I'll finish reading and I'll let you go.
Sure.
The shafts are made exclusively for us. They want you to remove all your residue from your camshaft gear. And let's see. No, this is I'm sorry, they're showing you a cast cam. It doesn't need their gear shaft, but if you're using a billet cam, you do need a gear and a shaft. Let's see where we're at. The treated iron gear is a lifetime gear that can be used with any cam, cast, or billet. So I know you did some testing, and I actually mailed Daniel one of the shafts that I got in because it just looked like a plain old shaft to me.
So the confusing thing in the description is it starts out saying it's steel, and then it goes into it's iron, and then it says iron can be used for anything. So if iron can be used for anything, why do we have a steel? And then there's only one part number.
Right.
There's just one part number. So the description is self-defeating.
Right.
So when you sent me the gear, I looked at it and I mean, it's beautiful. It looks great. And so the simplest test to know the answer is we just chuck them in the lathe and just make a little skim pass. Iron, when you turn iron, it just makes fine powder. Steel makes, depending on what grade steel, it's going to make chips or strings, right? So we took, so this is the gear in question right here. I mean, it's super nice. So we just stuck it in the lathe. This end doesn't do anything. We took 5 thousandths off of it. Just about. And you can see, I don't know, can you see? I mean,
yeah, it's a different.
It's not, there we go. So it's not shiny, it's dull. So what that tells me is this is probably, I'm totally spitballing here. This is probably like a 12L14 steel, which is a leaded steel. Surely to God, they're not using 1018, but it's probably, 1144 or 12L14, something that's high carbon will be shiny and make nice chips. And this made strings and it's not shiny. So what we done is I put it in a Rockwell tester and I checked the hardness, and the hardness on this is about 20, which is just plain old unheat treated steel is about 20, right? So to put that into contrast, this is a melonized iron alloy from Morale that will run on anything. And I touched it just to make sure. We skimmed 5 off of it, and it made just super fine powder, right? So I checked the hardness on it, and this was about 15. So it's super soft also. This is, if you can see, can you see the S?
It
has a letter S on it. So this is a MSD. This is probably a Ford small block. or Cleveland, I don't know. This is a steel heat treated gear from MSD.
Yep.
So I checked this gear and it's 55 Rockwell. So this thing is hard as Chinese arithmetic. Now, I don't think it looks like it's probably just black oxide. It doesn't look like it's melonite QPQ, and we're going to talk about that. So it seems to be some super confusion in the world about steel, iron, melanized, not melanized, what is melanized. So the industry name is melonite QPQ. So QPQ stands for quench, polish, quench. So if you notice this gear, how shiny that is and smooth, I mean, it's slick, right? So that is from the more than likely, because I don't know how they manufacture their gear, but more than likely it has been melonite QPQ, right? So the way that system works, and there's multiple trade names, but you've got melonite, you've got tough ride. There's another name or two, but it is basically a nitriding salt bath. So it goes into a nitride salt bath. It is, there's a recipe for time and temperature and all of that. It comes out, then it is probably now they're chemically polishing like you've seen ring pinions and transmission gears that look like chrome. So I'm sure they're using a chemical polishing to polish the gear after the salt bath because it oxidizes the surface. And then it will, after polishing, it will be reoxidized again for a second time in a different solution just for corrosion resistance, kind of like black oxide, but it's a little more robust than just black oxide. So you can melanize iron and carbon steels, bronze, stainless, you can't melanize. So, it's a surface hardening wear coating. So some companies have distributor gears that are a iron alloy. It's just not gray iron like, a 72 model Chevrolet distributor gear, right? It's a blend, probably some, I'm guessing, I don't know, it's probably some form of a ductile iron, probably, that they're melanite treating for extra wear resistance. And then supposedly that can run on a steel core or a iron core. The problem with iron and steel is iron is abrasive. So iron will just eat up the steel gear. And so we got to have some kind of the polishing, I believe. Again, I'm guessing at some of this. The polishing and the melanized coating, just because it makes the surface so hard, and the polishing makes it really smooth, is how they're getting by with an iron gear on a steel core. I still think that ultimately a steel gear on a steel core or a bronze gear on a steel core is the best solution, but that's not always available for all applications all the time. This is the problem we have.
Right. And that's, people are tired of buying $200 or $300 shafts from Milodon and wearing them out every other season, replacing, doing whatever. And that little bit of metal has to go somewhere in your engine.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I can say this, and different engines have different problems, right? We know small block Fords just eat distributor gears, right? They just eat them. Mopars, I mean, I'm not a Mopar guru, so I don't know really how Mopars treat distributor gears, but I know Chevrolets, if everything's set up right, the backlash is right, we've got a local guy that's running one of our small block bracket motors with a bronze gear, and it's been in the motor for almost 6 years.
Wow.
So, when people say bronze gears wear out, they only wear out if there's a problem.
Right.
If everything's happy, they don't wear out. But, the biggest thing that I see with distributor gears is people's trying to pump molasses through their motor. And the only thing that's driving the pump that's got to move all of that molasses is the distributor gear, right? So
right.
if you make it work 4 times as hard, it's going to live 4 times less as long as it's, so once we went to back in the day, we used to run 2050 because we didn't know no better. And then when we started moving to thinner oils, all our distributor problems went away at that moment. We didn't have any more distributor gear problems. So that's a problem in itself. But if you can, like the even with the Chevys, but with the Mopars, I think, isn't there an oil gallery behind the gear?
Yes.
So like the Fords, you can probably drill it.
Well, I took that Bulldog block apart the other day. It's probably been 3 months ago. Somebody had drilled almost an 1/8 inch hole, and it was flowing as big as my pinky out of there. And that was, he said, my oil pressure is low. My oil, and they're actually put one on each side and drilled holes, and it was kind of wild. But
I've seen people do that with big block Chevrolets. They'll put on there's 2 galleries, on each side, and they'll drill a hole in each one trying to oil the timing chain. I'm like, man, it don't need all that. But I usually do a 60 thousandths hole. That's what we normally do on the Fords. And so, it seems to help. But, Fords do have issues. But generally, again, there's so many variables. The pitch diameter of the gear on the cam, the pitch diameter of the gear on the distributor, then the actual machining location in the block. So we've seen stuff with super excessive gear lash. We've seen stuff with no gear lash. Big blocks are bad about, especially because people's whacking heads, whacking intakes. The distributor gear is not center line of the camshaft. So all of these problems, nobody thinks about. They just grab a distributor, throw it in the motor, then 2 weeks later, when they show the gear, they're like, well, that gear's junk. So, but again, I think the moral of the story is somebody needs to get clarification, because this is steel and there's only one part number in their catalog. And I've never seen a steel gear that's not hardened. So I don't know how that's going to live, but it might live forever. I don't know, but that seems odd.
Right. Well, I thought I saw somewhere else, and it may have been a different website or something, saying like, don't use the gear with a high volume oil pump.
Well, and a lot of people are saying that now for the simple fact of they're blaming it on the volume of the oil, but that's not. I've heard another in some of the forums. I mean, I've heard other cam grinders say when they see a cam with an eat up gear, oh, he had a high volume oil pump. Well, obviously, people saying that have never actually primed an engine with a drill, because you can take a high volume oil pump with 1030 and your 3-year-old can hold the drill. But you take a standard volume pump in 2050 and it will break your arm. I mean, it's that much different, right? You will literally, I mean, back in the day when we didn't know no better, when we primed engines with 2050, I mean, you better have 2 hands on the drill, because it would take it out of your hand. I mean, it's serious, I mean, trying to pump cold 2050, but once you get down to 1040 or less, I mean, literally 1 hand, no problem. You can just prime it. So the volume is not the issue. It's the viscosity of the oil that's the issue. And there's just no reason to run 2050 if you set your bearing clearances properly. You can run 10, 30 all day long. I mean, we got, 1,800 horsepower LSs with 5W30 bearings like brand new. So it's not like everything else. This has to match this, and then we fix the problem. And think about at the end of the day how much horsepower you're freeing up. I don't want to get off into an oil discussion because that's what's going to happen, rabbit trails. But, the oil has to move through the system to pull heat out of the metal parts. That's how it works, right? So if you can move the oil through at a faster rate, you can pull heat at a faster rate, right? You're exchanging the oil that's in the bearing for new oil that hasn't been in the bearing at a much faster rate with a thinner oil. So why would you not want to do that?
Right. I don't know. Maybe, I guess, drain back problems or something would be my only guess. But
well, again, the thicker the oil is, the worse the drain back problem is.
That's right.
So it's a thick oil is a double negative every time.
Yeah. Well, we're about to hit the 20-minute mark, so I don't want to hold you up your Sunday any more than I can already. But
no, that's fine. Glad to do it. And like I say, hopefully, that helped by, hopefully all of that distributor gear talk helps the community. Cause like I say, it's a question that we literally get a phone call 6 times a day for that question. So the more videos we do about distributor gears, it's just so much easier than answering an individual every time. Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, but glad to do it. Anything else, just let us know. We'll be happy to address it.
Yeah, and I wanted to do this not as a live because I knew we would get 4,000 questions go along with it. So if y'all have questions for Daniel and more on anything about a camshaft, check out his channel. He probably has a video already about it.
Yeah, definitely. And if we don't, shoot us an email. You can go to our website. There's a link to email us. You're welcome to email if you got specific questions about your deal. I'm happy to help if I can,
Yes, sir. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right, Mopar people.